It's no walk in the park. The tough climb up Mount Everest. Imagine climbing across a field of ice high on the slope of a mountain. You're on the lookout for blocks of ice as big as cars that can fall at any moment. You know the ice can move without warning, and you could fall through a crack in the ice to your death. You are so high up, 18,000 feet high, that the air is thin and it's hard to breathe. People need oxygen in order to survive. And there is very little oxygen up here. Because of this, you have a pounding headache. You feel dizzy and sometimes you vomit. You haven't even entered the death zone. In the death zone, winds can be as strong as hurricanes. Temperatures can be as low as negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The weather can change in an instant. Still, you continue hiking with your group. Your goal, the peak of Mount Everest, is in sight. That is what it's like to climb Mount Everest, the world's highest mountain. Only 4,000 men and women have ever made it to the top, and hundreds of people have died trying. When you stand on the top of the summit, though, it is a perfect reward for years of hard work, planning, and training. Keaton Kuhl has climbed the mountain 11 times. He said that when you stand on the top of Mount Everest, you can feel the whole planet beneath your feet. Climbing Everest 101, what you need to know. You need a lot of skills for successful climbing Mount Everest. Many climbers begin preparing 10 years before the climb. Many climbers take courses that teach them about the equipment they use. Climbers learn a lot about rope, pickaxes, compasses. They learn about the techniques they can use in case of trouble. They learn how to survive when buried in snow by an avalanche, how to navigate dangerous whiteouts, and above all, how to stop yourself from falling down into the steep, icy slope. These courses make survival more likely. Climbers often make plans so that in case of injury, a helicopter can be reached just one quick call, and then immediately begin evacuating the climber from the mountain, flying that person to a nearby hospital. Climbers not only need to build muscle before they climb, they also need to gain weight. The trip up Mount Everest is so tough that many people lose weight, so many prospective climbers try to gain weight before their hike. Climbers also take practice hikes up high mountains. They might climb the Denali in Alaska. Even with all this preparation, many climbers still do not make it to the top of Mount Everest. You cannot do it alone. Even with all the training, people make it to the peak of Mount Everest without help. Instead, about 90% of people who travel to the top of Mount Everest do so in huge groups with Sherpas. Sherpas are an ethnic group of people who live in Nepal, and many of them serve as mountain guides on Mount Everest. Sherpas do an incredible amount of work. They carry the heaviest loads on their back. Sherpas carry tents, tables, chairs, and even vases for plastic flowers. Often they may take multiple trips up the mountain with supplies so their climbers can climb without heavy loads. Of course, if a climber wants to help from Sherpa, this adds to the cost of the climb. And even without the Sherpa help, these climbs are not cheap. It costs at least $36,000 and often well over $65,000 to climb Mount Everest. Although Sherpas are not inexpensive, they are important. Sherpas have far more experience on the mountains than the people who have hired them. Sherpas prepare safe routes for climbing, attach ropes and ladders to the ice to help climbers across the most dangerous areas, and give recommendations about when to keep hiking and when to stop. Sherpas might recommend stopping 500 feet from the top of Mount Everest and turning around if the weather is too dangerous. This advice can be difficult to take. Still, climbers who listen closely to their guides are most likely to survive the climb. Without the help of Sherpas, it would be almost impossible for climbers to climb Mount Everest and reach their dreams of standing on the highest point of Earth.